why not debate her?
Well, wait. But because they already know everything. She wants to defund our police. She wants no bail. She wants no cash. You kill somebody and we're going to release you immediately. They call it cashless. By the way, this has been a horrible thing for our country. This has been what I just said. But we know where she is. She wants high taxes.
Well, they're going to say you're afraid of debating her. That's what they're going to say.
Well, they said that with Biden, too. You know, I was afraid. I did great with Biden, and I did great in every debate. I've had a lot of debates.
That was Fox's Laura Ingraham asking Donald Trump the question he's been dreading in what turned out to be a completely disaster of an interview. But of course, Donald Trump doesn't want to debate Kamala Harris. He's clearly scared, not because everyone already knows everything. What a ridiculous answer. But because he knows if he gets up on that debate stage, he'll be completely destroyed. And even if no one heard a word of the debate, just the contrast between the young, fresh face of the Democratic Party and the old, dementing Trump up there is enough, if not for the fact that also he is a convicted felon up against a career prosecutor. The images alone on stage would just be devastating to Donald Trump, and so he does not want to debate. And there's a lot of people having a lot of fun with this, and I wanted to show y'all an example of that. This billboard is absolutely hilarious, and I'm seeing a couple of them go up all across the country, and they're super viral online. Too chicken to debate, just absolutely perfect. Donald Trump really is too scared to debate, and he's also too scared to debate because he doesn't want Kamala Harris to be able to remind the world of Donald Trump's record. And, you know, Laura Ingraham had to ask some questions of Donald Trump in this interview. They couldn't all be softballs, and she asked him about being a chaos candidate, and he had this to say.
And a common criticism of you from the left is he's the chaos candidate. He's the chaos former president.
Just the opposite.
And
Donald Trump claiming that he's not a chaos candidate or wasn't a chaos president might be one of the bigger lies he has ever told. What about the chaos of his complete mismanaging of the COVID pandemic? What about the chaos of record job loss? Donald Trump was a complete chaos president, and every day we walked around scared and concerned what he would say next, how he would embarrass us on the world stage, and what terrible policy position he would take that would hurt our friends and family and America at large. And so I find it completely ridiculous that Donald Trump doesn't think he was a chaos and terrible president, but that's because he has cognitive dissonance when it comes to his own record and what his presidency was like. And that is clear when Laura Ingraham asked him this question, or maybe didn't ask as much as brought up the last time that he left office. Let's check this out.
all that, and then they say, well, no, you can't vote for him because he's literally never going to leave office. They're actually still saying that.
Yeah. It's just unbelievable.
But you will leave office after 4 years.
By the way, and I did last time, I kept hearing, he's not going to leave, he's not going to leave. Look, they are the ones that are a threat to democracy.
Because Laura Ingraham works for the Fox propaganda outlet, it's clear that she's trying to help Donald Trump in this interview, but nothing she says or any of the softballs that she throws him in this interview help him avoid just absolutely face planting, and we'll see that in a later clip. But Donald Trump here saying that, oh, I did leave office. Everyone was so dramatic saying that I wouldn't. You incited an insurrection. You tried to push false slates of electors to overturn the will of millions of voters. Donald Trump saying that he peacefully left, or, oh, I never had a thought in the world about trying not to leave office, is just completely ridiculous and a misremembering. And I think it's because he's losing his memory on his part of what his term as president was actually like. And again, that's why he's so scared to debate Kamala Harris, because he doesn't want the American people reminded of what his presidency was like, especially the end of it. And also, I don't think he really wants the American people to know a lot about his candidacy right now, and specifically J.D. Vance, who Laura Ingraham asked about. And Donald Trump gave a really weird answer, just as weird really as J.D. Vance is, and we just have to check it out.
Knee-jerk, conservative, et cetera, et cetera. But some of it's coming from Republicans who I think want to go back to the days of open borders and perpetual war. How do you expect to use him in this campaign, and what can you say to our viewers tonight to reassure them that this was an excellent pick?
Well, first of all, he's got tremendous support. And he really does among a certain group of people, people that like families. I mean, you know, he made a statement having to do with families. That doesn't mean that people that aren't a member of a big and beautiful family with 400 children around and everything else, it doesn't mean that a person doesn't have, he's not against anything, but he loves family. It's very important to him. He grew up in a very interesting family situation, and he feels family is good. And I don't think there's anything wrong in saying that.
Obviously, J.D. Vance's comments about calling the leaders of the Democratic Party childless cat ladies was not just some small thing. And Donald Trump trying to pass it off as totally okay, again, just shows how out of touch he is. But I think the best response is one that came from Pete Buttigieg on this. So let's check it out.
Answer in the debate from both candidates was, I think, kind of confounding to everyone. But I'm glad you brought up children, because there's actually this answer that J.D. Vance gave a few years ago, and he name-dropped you in it about people who don't have children working in the government. This is what he said.
It's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. And how does it make any sense that we've turned our country over to people who don't really have a direct stake in it?
Now, I should note you have 2 children. They were born before Pete gave that answer. Harris is also a stepmom to children as well. But what's your response to that?
I mean, you know, the really sad thing is he said that after Chasten and I had been through a fairly heartbreaking setback in our adoption journey. He couldn't have known that, but maybe that's why you shouldn't be talking about other people's children. And it's not about his kids or my kids or the vice president's family. It's about your family, people's families whose well-being will depend on whether we go into a future led by somebody like Kamala Harris, who is focused on expanding the prosperity, the freedom, the well-being of our families. And by the way, especially if you have kids and you're worried about climate, choosing between a party that has a plan on climate that creates jobs and a party that still calls it a hoax, even as we went through the hottest day in world history. Or do you want your children to grow up in a country defined by a return to the chaos and recrimination and cruelty that was the hallmark of the Trump era?
Perfectly put by Pete, as always. And what he said about the future ties so perfectly into this next clip when Laura brings up what President Biden is trying to accomplish right now at the end of his term as president, trying to impose some ethics on the Supreme Court. And I want to react to this clip, but a bit of context. Obviously, President Biden has always tried to improve our country. And so he is putting forth some ideas, some legislative endorsements on how we could reform the Supreme Court. And Laura Ingraham brings that up here.
A big news today is President Biden announcing reforms to the Supreme Court, which include not allowing immunity for presidents and also new ethics rules. Now, a lot of us who used to clerk at the court believe that that's just a naked attempt to start knocking off conservative justices.
It is.
They didn't even consult Dick Durbin or the Senate Judiciary Committee on any aspect of this. What does this mean to you, what Biden is?
Well, it's a typical Biden con. He doesn't want to give up immunity because if he didn't have immunity, look at all the things he did. The $3.5 million from Russia, all the money he's taken in from China, all of the bad things and the evil things he's done, not to mention that thousands of people killed in the border. Look at the Afghanistan pullout with the worst, most embarrassing day in the history of our country. All of the things he's done that are so bad, he desperately wants immunity. There's no way he would write off immunity for a president.
But this is it.
So obviously Donald Trump's answer saying that President Biden wants immunity is ridiculous, and it's obviously projecting. It's Donald Trump who wants immunity. Joe Biden wants to eliminate the Supreme Court's decision to give presidents immunity. But I also think it's important to mention what Laura Ingraham said at the top of that question, that it's an attack on Republican judges by imposing ethics. So she's basically saying the only people who would be breaking an ethics code are the Republican justices, are the Sam Alitos, are the Clarence Thomases, are the Brett Kavanaughs, really just telling on themselves there. And again, Donald Trump clearly lying about immunity, but that's not the only kind of ridiculous statement that he made in this entire interview. Of course, we see lots of them, but this one specifically really struck me, and it honestly hurt Donald Trump by saying it. It brought up a really sore spot for him in this campaign. So let's check it out.
Years old. A lot of people, I didn't realize she was 60. I thought she was a little younger, but she's 60. She is talking a big game, but her game is pretty bad. I mean, she was the border czar. She's trying to pretend that she wasn't. You know, it's an amazing thing that's happened too, because we talk about.
Trump is clearly rambling there, as he always is, but he brings up the fact that Kamala Harris is 60. She's actually 59, but it's not like Donald Trump to not lie all the time. And it seems like he's suggesting that she's too old to be president because she's 60. Does Donald Trump know his age? I also just think it's funny that he would even bring that up when that is such a bad issue for him on this campaign, in this campaign. And the Lincoln Project wanted to make sure that we remembered what an issue that is for Donald Trump. And they put together this incredible ad that I just want to check out.
For 3 years, we heard it every day, that Joe Biden and Donald Trump were the oldest candidates ever. Republicans made the excuse that Biden was 3 years older, and the media gave it a pass. Their breathless coverage of Biden's age, while ignoring Trump's decline, pretended Trump wasn't slurring his speech.
We want a landslide that's
confusing people,
including Obama. I'll tell you what.
telling weird, wandering stories.
By the way, a lot of shark attacks lately. The late, great Hannibal Lecter. He's a wonderful man.
Now, there's no excuse. There's only one person in this race now with mental problems. One person with memory problems. One person feeling the icy hand of death from old age creeping closer. One person who knows the clock is running out. And that's old Donald Trump. Weak, impotent, forgetful, mentally declining, fast. He'd be 83 by the end of his term. If he's senile now, he'll be dangerous by then.
The contrast in this campaign is clear. Fresh and new versus the old Donald Trump, the chaos of the past, the bad policies of the past. And as Kamala Harris always says, we're not going back. We are not going back. And with that, if you want to support the message of Kamala Harris, and you want to support this channel, and you want to support a group of people that are not going back, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. You subscribe and join this channel. We are about to pass 100,000 subscribers, and I think we can do it before the end of the month with your help, if you help out by subscribing. And as always, make sure to hit that thumbs up, leave a like on this video. It really goes a long way in supporting this channel, and it really means the world to me. I am so grateful for y'all's support and what we have been able to build on this channel and what we will continue to build. And until next time, I'll see you soon.